Angel Reese will not play in the first half of Sky Aces on Sunday because of statements detrimental to the team, the Sky announced. Already suspended for Friday's matchup from the Fever for receiving her 8th technical foul of the season. That's from a couple of days ago on Yahoo Sports, and it turns out that she didn't play in the first half or the second half. The second half, according to coaches, due to a back issue. No Angel Reese in that game, coming off of a suspension, coming off of a technical foul suspension. And it raises a lot of questions about one of the better players in the WNBA. She's Caroline Fenton. I'm Jason Fitz at Yahoo Sports Daily. We'll get back to the NFL in just a minute. But this was significant last night, Caroline, because no Angel raises a question about what's worth it. And like we all know this in sports, there's a certain line where your productivity makes it worth whatever you do. And we know this in every sport. You can be a terrible person. You can be a criminal. You can be all of those things. And if your productivity is high enough, everybody will simply say, that's fine. It's great. We get that. You can also just be a distraction and people will take it. And I go back to like the 90s Bulls. Dennis Rodman was a distraction, but it didn't matter because he was Dennis Rodman and it was part of the Bulls. I am at this spot when we look at Angel Reese. And I'm just wondering, why is any of it worth it? It's not to me. Because while Angel Reese is a very good rebounder, I don't think that Angel Reese, as a total player with everything in her game, brings enough reward to what she brings in the conversation you have to have. Like every Chicago, the Sky suck. Fine, the Sky suck. But the Sky players have spent how much time answering questions over the last week about Angel Reese's comments yet again? Like it's constant. You constantly have to deal with it. And I don't think the play on the court actually makes any of it worth it. At this point, I don't think Angel Reese is a top 10 player in the WNBA. I don't think she's worth the distraction that comes with having to answer questions about what she has to say. And I don't think the attitude in general is something that anybody benefits from. So to me, as much as I respect Angel Reese's game, I'm stepping back and saying the star power ain't worth it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you never want to have a player in your organization, especially a struggling organization, especially an organization that if they're not good, nobody's really going to care. You don't want the number one storyline to always be about what your star player is saying in the media. It gets old, it's so tiring, and everyone in that front office is probably walking on eggshells, just terrified for the next thing that Angel Reese is going to say in a press conference. And of course, the most recent things that she did say was essentially calling out her teammates for not being good enough and essentially saying to the entire world, like, hey, if you don't get better players around me, I think I'm going to be here for, the short haul. And I don't have any problem with a star player calling out the team for saying, we aren't good enough. We need to do better. I will do whatever it takes for us to become a winning basketball team. But it felt very accusatory. It felt very pointing the finger to her teammates. And look, we're in the middle of the season right now. Like, to make those comments in front of the media, in front of cameras, and not behind closed doors with your front office and with your coach in the middle of the season, I think is inconceivable. But you say, you don't think Angel Reese is a top 10 player in the NBA. I said last week, the WNBA. I said last week I think that she is, and I'll double down on that. Look, I understand that Angel Reese is by no means an elite shooter by any stretch of the imagination. I understand that. But I don't think that you have to be an elite shooter to have impact on the court. I mean, Angel Reese leads the WNBA in rebounds per game. She has 23 double-doubles this season. That leads the WNBA, even though she's played 7 fewer games than Alyssa Thomas, who has the second most double-doubles in the league, and she has 22. Angel Reese, in 2 seasons in the WNBA, has 49 double-doubles. That is more than Asia Wilson, one of the best defenders in the WNBA, had in her first 5 seasons combined. So Angel Reese's impact is shown. It's just not necessarily pulling up from, the logo and pulling up from 3. So her impact is different. I think that when we talk about the top 10 players in the WNBA, no, she's not in the top 5, but I think that she deserves to be in the conversation, depending on what you value in a certain player's game and their impact on the court. But I'm saying I think she's a top 10 player in the WNBA. You can argue with me all day long. That's fine. We can have the debate. We can have the discussion. But if you ask me, which 10 players in the WNBA would you want to choose to build a franchise around? I can't choose Angel Reese. Even if I do think that her, caliber of player and her skill set might fit that, she's just too much of a distraction off the court. That she says too much, she puts her foot in her mouth way too many times, and that if you are a young and rebuilding team like the Chicago Sky is, you just can't deal with those kinds of off the court distractions coming at the hands of your star player.
I will double down on that and say part of my issue is that oftentimes when asked about it or given the opportunity to correct it, she plays the victim. And to me, if we're talking about how you construct a roster, I had the chance years ago when I was touring. I toured. I was in a band that nobody ever heard of, and I opened for Kenny Rogers. And just sitting back talking to Kenny, who was a legend, one thing he always preached to all of us about just how you act on the road is he said, understand, everybody says perception is reality. That's not enough of the statement. You have to understand that perception is the reality you live in part because it's the reality you created. That's one thing I learned from him that I've taken in my entire life. At some point, you can't just turn around and say, why is everyone doing this to me? You have to turn around as an individual and say, what am I doing that's creating part of this chaos? What Angel has never understood is that she creates the chaos by the things that she says and the way that she acts. Now, is she a top 10 player? To me, I understand your rebounding numbers, and I think that, yes, she's an elite rebounder. The eye test tells me that part of that comes because she's cleaning up her own mess at the rim over and over and over again. Nobody can figure out how to get her out of the way. Yes, she's a great rebounder. There's no doubt about that. But my God, what would those numbers look like if she finished at the rim better? Like, I see that, and I think, man, it's hard for me just watching that. It's hard for me to put that in even in the same category. You mentioned A'ja Wilson and her success. Like, I watch Angel play and I watch A'ja play, and to me, they are not in the same category, right? Like A'ja is so
And I'm not
much
saying
more
she is
fluid in what
A'ja.
she's. No, I know, 100%, and I don't want
Just for the
anyone on
record.
social media to twist it into that. That is not the conversation here. I think part of the thing is that, like, she does one thing incredibly well. She's so good on the boards. I can't make that one dimension into a top 10 player. I think there are, top 10, by the way, I always qualify. You and I can agree on this. When people say top 10, I'm not sitting here making a list and saying, well, she's probably 10. Like, top 10 is a feel. You might be 11, you might be 10, you might be 9. It's a feel to people. For me, my feel has a hard time with the eye test of watching Angel, and I watch so much W. I have a hard time when I watch her because it just doesn't look as easy or as graceful or as capable at the rim as many of the other players that I would put in the top 10.
In fairness, in Angel Reese's rookie season, when she did lead the league in rebounds, as she does this year, if you took out all of her, which she quoted, or she has trademarked, me bounds, she would still be second in the league in rebounds. If you took out all of her own me bounds, and if you took out everyone else's me bounds, she would still lead the league in rebounds. I feel like that is a narrative that I kind of want to squash. I also understand that there are a lot of people out there that do not like Angel Reese. I understand that. I'm not here to tell you that you have to love her or that you have to like her or that you have to hear her out, because there are a lot of things that Angel Reese has done in the past that I'm like, what are you doing? Like, that's just a stupid decision. Why are you doing that? You are hurting yourself and you're hurting your team. But just because you don't like her personally, I'm not saying this to you, Fitzy, I'm just saying this to the general public. Just because you don't like her does not mean that she's a bad player. Like, I think that we have to add nuance and we have to add context that she is top 20 in scoring in the W, that she is 17th in the league in assists, that she is 10th in steals, that she leads in double-doubles, that she leads in rebounds. That those are actual statistical numbers that you can take away from her game. Now, her personality, her off-the-court decorum, that's a completely different story, but I think still relevant within the context of this discussion.
And I will say, until I'm blue in the face, I think she's one of the better young players in the league. She is a top 20 player in the league. There's no doubt. I wouldn't put her in the top 10, and I wouldn't build my franchise around her. And to your point, I neither like nor dislike Angel Reese. I've never met her. I've never hung out with her. I've never really spent any time with her. I simply think that she's a part of creating the problems that she lives in, and her life will get a lot easier when she figures that out and accepts that, and then figures out how to handle her platform in a way that doesn't create that chaos.